So my name is Sibonelo Gumede, and I work at the Urban Future Center with Monique. And I'd love to share this experience of me going to the Urban Future Center for an interview, and being in an interview and Monique asking me a harm reduction question, which I think was related to injecting. And my conservative self just came out. So it's important for me to share this because I think the conservativeness of the different units and the city at large as eThekwini and how we are trained in university is to think conservatively and not be innovative in how we move forward or take on innovative solutions such as harm reduction and the opioid substitution therapy. So today I'm going to be speaking about finding harm reduction. So this is a personal story of my journey coming from a corporate space and coming to work with the Urban Future Center and TBHIV Care on this amazing project. So I first encountered low-grade heroin in 2008 when I was still in high school. Wunga or Nyaope, as it's called, was available almost in every intersection in Durban suburb of Clearwood. Getting the drug was as easy as picking up a banana at the stores that lined up on the busy streets. I grew up in a township about 25 kilometers south of Durban CBD, and just like many South African townships, this community has a reputation of violent service delivery protests, high rates of unemployment, and a high prevalence of drug use. Through the years, I've watched friends, acquaintances, and family members use Wunga, all for different reasons, and it seems there was little that could have been done to reduce the harms of their substance use. I held conservative and even denialist views about the use of drugs and saw people who are users as being problematic individuals who have made very poor life choices. I made little efforts to try to understand what drove them to the extremes, nor even why I had been able to avoid the trajectory myself, despite my seemingly similar social circumstances to those who had in school and also in my community. In 2016, I was working for a renowned urban regeneration property development company in South Africa, whose core strategy is converting derelict buildings into mixed-use developments. Like many development companies in the boardroom, the talk was maximum profit, and the figures were disguised with some placemaking efforts on the ground there and there. So what was interesting was that part of my key performance areas in the company was working with the local municipality, urban management units to clean up sex workers, homeless people, and people who use drugs. They were deemed bad for business, and what the developers and the municipality wanted was a conducive environment for multiracial middle-income community to live in this proposed upmarket neighborhood within the inner city. This bohemian bliss of urban regeneration understanding of neighborhood development was limited to combining lofts and budding concept shops, craft beer outlets, and yoga activities in between freelance schedules for people who would be living in this precinct. So these aspirations, which I also shared, perpetuated my own toxic understanding of how I viewed people who lived on the streets, who through circumstances often used drugs. I was too steeped in the pseudo-hipster life, finding comfort in knowing the latest star urbanist and aspiring to create the utopian urban spaces like those splashed across the pages of glossy design and lifestyle magazines. So I'd chosen to ignore the real tenets of what makes a city, the one that is chaotic and messy, while at the same time has its own formal and informal organization. The more uncomfortable I became with myself, the more I started to realize that the city that I was helping to create was an exclusionary one, in which stigma and prejudice would reinforce inequality, the kind that had already arrived in other parts of South Africa, such as here in Cape Town and also in Johannesburg. Fast forward to early 2017, I joined the Urban Future Center at the Durban University of Technology to work with as a qualitative researcher in the opioid substitution therapy demonstration project in collaboration with TBHIV Care. The key objective of this program is to demonstrate that OST works in a localized low-income setting in a South African context. This is primarily done through examining quality of life changes among city dwellers who are on OSC over an 18-month period. Being involved in this project has not only shifted my understanding of working with vulnerable groups, but has broadened my outlook about urban development and the role that the local government should play in enabling a conducive environment for everyone. It has enabled one to be able to use sense-making in understanding the complexities of social ills in urban spaces and not impose preconceived moralistic understandings which are not backed by any evidence. Since the initiation of the first beneficiary in the project in April 2017, I have witnessed with awe the tremendous improvements amongst this extraordinary group of people who are on OSC. With almost everyone in the program living life with a reduced negative interaction with the criminal justice, they are prioritizing better health, hygiene and wellness. Adherence to chronic medication to those that are HIV positive has also risen. Some of the beneficiaries have re-entered the formal job market, with others going back to schooling. And significantly, almost all of them have reconnected with their significant others, such as previous friends and family, and these supportive groups come now and again to the center. So in the interviews and focus group discussions that have been conducted, some said that drugs had prevented them from giving up on life. Dysfunctional as it may seem from the outside, drugs provided meaning and rhythm to their everyday lives filled with the bleak reality of broken families and very little access to any decent chances. With the youth unemployment rate of almost 40%, in which access to adequate education and services is elusive, it may be no surprise that problematic drug use is part of our urban landscape. Contrary to my earlier naive and blinded interpretations of people who use drugs, I started to understand that drug use is actually a story of both resilience and resistance. As it is the case internationally, there are multiple socio-economic drivers that underpin individual decisions to use drugs, sometimes problematically. So without understanding these drivers, it is difficult to develop programs and design spaces that will reduce harm and improve the quality of life of individuals who use drugs in a problematic way. Once the understanding of problematic drug use is present, individuals are no longer treated as pathological or as deviant, but as social actors who have and will continue to make choices that allow them to continue to live amongst us in the same cities, with the same dreams, and with the same social intent of making the world a better place. So the Durban OSC demonstration projects has provided huge benefits, especially for the people who come from low-income backgrounds. They have transformed from being seen as denizens to active citizens who are, through their personal strength, showing us all that they have all the rights to walk the streets, to participate in institutional life, and to be listened to. So a plea to my city, which is eThekwini municipality, is that as we strive to be the most caring city by 2030, engaging local evidence programs to deal with drug use should be our priority, and rolling out OSC in community-based and primary healthcare setting, just like Tshwane, should be our core strategy. And as cities continue to rapidly densify, new challenges are emerging and require multidisciplinary practitioners who are well-vested in understanding social ills holistically. The conversation of harm reduction should be extended, for instance, to urban practitioners who work in the built environment and urban management space, for them to better plan for marginalized groupings. We should be able to co-create the resilient and sustainable cities of the future, which are inclusive and integrative. Thank you.